Another week, another deluge of AI news.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's getting tough to keep up. It feels like every time I blink, there's a new headline about AI learning to do something that'll either revolutionize the world or, take over and make us its pets.
Right. And this week is no exception. Between Meta going all in on open source AI, those wild AR glasses prototypes they showed off.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, OpenAI's ChatGPT can now do eerily good voice impressions. It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. Where do you even begin with all that? I mean, we've talked about Meta's AI ambitions before, but going open source feels like a whole other level of commitment.
It definitely changes the game. Remember how we talked about Google and Apple taking a more cautious approach with their AI developments? Well, Meta's basically saying, hey, we think the future of AI is collaborative, so here are the tools, come build with us.
Okay, hold on. For those of us who don't spend our days neck deep in lines of code, break down what open source even means in this context. Is Meta just giving away its secret AI recipe for anyone to use?
Pretty much. Think of it this way. Imagine if instead of guarding their secret formula, Coca-Cola just released it to the public. Anyone could make their version of Coke, maybe even tweak it, improve it. That's kind of what Meta is doing with their AI.
Wow, that's bold, like really bold. But does it make sense? Are they just feeling generous, or is there a strategic play here?
I think it's a calculated risk, for sure. On the one hand, yeah, it does seem crazy to just give away your technology like that. But Meta is betting that by making their AI open and accessible, they'll attract more developers, more innovation, and ultimately more users.
So instead of building their own walled garden, they're trying to become the go-to platform for the entire AI ecosystem.
Exactly. And they've got a pretty compelling argument. I mean, they already have a massive user base for their AI assistant. We're talking over 500 million people.
Hold up, 500 million. That's more than double what ChatGPT has, right?
Yep, more than double. So Meta's thinking is if they can leverage that existing user base and combine it with the power of open source development, they could become the dominant force in AI.
That's a lot of users to please. And speaking of pleasing users, we got to talk about those AR glasses.
Oh yeah, the Meta Orion. Pretty wild, right?
Wild is one word for it. I mean, don't get me wrong, the idea of having holographic displays right there in your field of vision is straight out of science fiction, and it's incredibly cool. But did you see the resolution on that thing? I'm not ditching my phone for that just yet.
I hear you. The tech is definitely still in its early stages. But remember, those were just prototypes. What's significant here isn't necessarily the fidelity of the displays right now, but the fact that they've managed to shrink all that technology down into a form factor that's even remotely wearable.
That's a good point. We've been promised AR glasses for years, and it always seems like they're either bulky and awkward or just vaporware. So to see Meta actually demoing something that looks even remotely close to normal glasses is kind of mind-blowing.
And don't forget, those glasses are just one piece of the puzzle. What's really interesting is how Meta is positioning AI as the core of this whole experience.
Oh, you mean like how Zuckerberg was talking about the AI suggesting outfits based on your closet?
Exactly. It's not just about the hardware, it's about the AI that powers it, understands your preferences, and interacts with the world around you. That's where Meta thinks they have a real advantage.
Okay, but now I'm just picturing a future where my AI stylist accidentally dresses me like a rodeo clown for an important business meeting.
I'm sure they're working on the whole fashion faux pas prevention algorithm as we speak.
It's like having a robot stylist who might have a, shall we say, unique sense of style.
Maybe. But hey, at least it'll be a conversation starter, right?
True. Though, on a more serious note, all this talk about AI and creativity makes me think about James Cameron joining Stability AI. That was a curveball I didn't see coming.
Right. You don't often see a Hollywood heavyweight like that diving headfirst into the world of open source AI.
Exactly. I mean, James Cameron is practically synonymous with pushing the boundaries of visual effects. Titanic, Avatar. The man knows a thing or two about using technology to tell stories.
And Stability AI is all about making that kind of cutting-edge technology accessible to everyone. They're the company behind Stable Diffusion, which, if you haven't heard of it, is one of the most powerful open-source image generators out there.
Yeah, I've played around with Stable Diffusion a bit. It's pretty mind-blowing what it can do. So to see someone like Cameron with his track record of innovation team up with a company like Stability AI, it just feels significant, you know?
It definitely sends a message. And if you listen to Cameron talk about it, he sees this as the future of filmmaking. He's not talking about replacing human artists, but using AI as a tool to enhance and accelerate the creative process.
Which I think is a really important distinction. Because there's a lot of fear out there about AI replacing human creativity, but what we're seeing here is more like a collaboration.
Right, it's about augmenting human capabilities, not replacing them. Imagine a world where filmmakers, instead of spending countless hours on tedious tasks like rotoscoping or building complex 3D environments, can offload that work to AI. That frees them up to focus on the storytelling, the characters, the emotional core of the film.
Exactly. It's like giving artists superpowers. And it's not just about Hollywood either. Think about the impact this could have on independent filmmakers, students, anyone with a story to tell. Suddenly, the tools to create stunning visuals are within reach.
It's democratizing creativity, and that's incredibly exciting.
It really is. Though we'd be remiss if we didn't at least acknowledge the valid concerns some people have about AI in creative fields.
Absolutely. There are definitely anxieties about job displacement,
Yeah.
about AI potentially homogenizing art, about losing that human touch.
Yeah, and we saw that reflected in some of the source material this week, too.
Yeah.
AI Arnold, for example, expressed concerns about AI being used to create artificial actors, potentially putting real actors out of work.
And that's a valid concern, for sure. It raises all sorts of questions about what we value in art, what makes a performance authentic. I mean, if you can create a digital replica of an actor that's indistinguishable from the real thing, does that diminish the value of human performance?
It's a tough question, and I don't think there's an easy answer. But I keep coming back to this idea of AI as a tool. It's not inherently good or bad. It's all about how we choose to use it.
Exactly. And like with any powerful tool, there are risks and rewards. We need to be having these conversations, debating the ethical implications, setting boundaries, ensuring that we're using AI in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
Absolutely. We can't just bury our heads in the sand and pretend this isn't happening. We have to engage with it thoughtfully and responsibly.
And part of that is being aware of the potential downsides, the unintended consequences.
Like those copyright lawsuits against OpenAI, for example. That's something we haven't really touched on yet.
It's a big one, and it gets to the heart of some really complex legal questions around AI. Basically, the court ruled that OpenAI's training data can be inspected as part of a copyright infringement lawsuit.
Okay, so in plain English, what does that actually mean?
It means that companies like OpenAI can't just feed massive amounts of data into their AI systems without being transparent about where that data came from. If that data includes copyrighted material, they could be on the hook.
Which makes sense. You can't just create something new by ripping off someone else's work, even if it's an AI doing the creating.
Exactly. It raises a whole bunch of questions about intellectual property in the age of AI. Like, who owns the copyright to something generated by an AI? Is it the company that created the AI, the people who provided the training data, or someone else entirely? These are issues that are still being worked out.
It's a brave new world out there, that's for sure. But while we're waiting for those legal battles to play out, I have to say, some of these AI developments are just plain fun.
Tell me you're not completely sucked into the AI drawing tutorials.
Okay, you got me. Those things are addictive. It's like having a personal art teacher right there on your screen, guiding you through every step. And the best part is, you don't have to be a skilled artist to create something really cool.
I know, right? I was messing around with one earlier, and I surprised myself with what I was able to create. It's like it unlocks this hidden creative potential that you didn't even know you had.
And that, I think, is one of the most exciting things about AI. It's not just about making our lives easier or more efficient. It's about expanding the realm of what's possible, pushing the boundaries of human creativity.
Absolutely. It's a tool for exploration, for experimentation, for pushing past our self-imposed limitations. And who knows what incredible things we'll discover along the way.
Speaking of incredible things, did you hear what Sam Altman said recently? He's predicting that we're only thousands of days away from artificial superintelligence.
Yeah, they got a lot of people talking. Thousands of days. That's not exactly that far off.
Thousands of days. It really makes you think, are we on the verge of something truly groundbreaking, or is this just hype?
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, we're talking about a level of intelligence that we can barely even comprehend, right?
Right. It's like trying to imagine a new color. We just don't have the reference points. But I guess that's what makes it both exciting and a little terrifying.
Exactly. On the one hand, imagine the possibilities. AI that could solve climate change, cure diseases, unlock the secrets of the universe. It's mind-blowing.
No kidding. But then there's that other side of the coin, the whole what if it turns on us scenario.
The classic sci-fi trope.
I know. But it's hard not to at least consider the possibility, right? If we create something that's smarter than us, how do we control it? How do we ensure it doesn't decide humans are the problem?
Those are the billion-dollar questions. And honestly, I don't think anyone has the answers yet. But that's why it's so important to be having these conversations now while AI is still in its relatively early stages.
So we're not caught completely off guard when the robots rise up.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that. But seriously, the more we understand about AI, the better equipped we'll be to navigate its development and potential impact.
Makes sense. So where do we even begin? If even the experts aren't sure what to expect, how do we wrap our heads around something as complex as artificial superintelligence?
It's definitely a challenge, but I think it starts with being open to the possibilities, both good and bad. We need to be realistic about the potential benefits of AI while also acknowledging the very real risks.
And maybe most importantly, we need to keep talking about it because this isn't just a tech issue, it's a human issue. It affects all of us, regardless of whether we're coding the algorithms or just trying to figure out how to use the latest AI-powered app.
100%. And we need to make sure that everyone has a voice in this conversation. Because the future of AI isn't something that should be decided by a select few in Silicon Valley. It's something we need to shape together as a society.
Well said. On that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about everything from open source AI and those mind-bending AR glasses to the ethics of artificial actors and the very real possibility of artificial superintelligence. It's been quite a journey.
It really has, and it's just the beginning.
Right.
AI is evolving at an unprecedented rate, and who knows what the coming weeks, months, and years will bring.
Only one way to find out. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep tuning in to the deep dive where we'll be here to break it all down for you. Until next time.